Hello and welcome to Module 2 of the Quick Cash with Local Leads system. In this module, we're going to talk about niche research. We're going to go over what niches to target, how to find the business owners to sell to, and ultimately we're going to research the customers of those business so we can better and more effectively market and advertise to them. And it's very important that you go through this module completely before you move on to the more step-by-step instructions, because you need to understand the theory and the marketing principles that we're going to use in our advertising. So let's get started. First, we're going to talk about picking a niche. And the question we need to ask when we're picking a niche is, who are buying leads? Best place to start is to just look for the businesses that are already buying leads for their business. And the way you do this is you look for companies that are selling leads in that niche. For example, if you were going to sell to mortgage companies, you can go on Google and type in, I want to buy mortgage leads. If you're looking to sell insurance leads, you can go on Google and say, I want to buy insurance leads. And the companies that you see that come up in the Google search that are selling leads to businesses, this is a really strong indicator that this is a hot market. If there's full-fledged companies that are dedicated to selling to these markets, then you've definitely hit a gold mine. And this also helps you with the swipe files, because you can take a look at their sites. You can look at the types of leads that they're capturing, what they're offering, and it also tell you their pricing models. You can see what they sell live transfer leads for and web-based leads. And it's very easy to approach other companies because you can undercut your competition by doing your research and price, or you can attempt to provide better quality leads for a higher price. The next thing we have to consider are the value of the leads to the business we're selling to, because this is going to be a determining factor in how much money we can sell the leads for. For example, if you're selling to an attorney, every lead is potentially worth thousands and thousands of dollars if it turns into a case, and that case is won. Where if you're selling to, say, a car wash, you're just trying to get car wash leads, the average person is only going to spend about $10 in a car wash, so you can't really sell them leads for a lot of money, considering that lead is only worth, if they do business with them, $10. Another thing to consider are businesses that are going to have a lifetime, are going to be keeping their customers for a long period of time. You want to consider the lifetime value of a lead. For example, some businesses like real estate, mortgages, credit repair, they're usually one-off businesses where they charge the client a lump sum, and then that's all the client is worth to them for the life of the customer. Where when you're going into businesses like landscaping or even carpet cleaning, a good business is going to keep that customer for a long time. So you take landscaping, for example, even if the business only stands to make $10, $20 to cut the client's lawn, they're going to be doing that every week, and over 6 months to a year, the value of that customer to the business is pretty substantial. And this is a figure you need to keep in mind, because not only is that how we're going to price our leads, but that's going to be a major selling point to the business owner where they understand the value of the leads you're selling them. And of course, we want to look at the size of the overall market. If this is and this is going to be dependent on the area that you're selling to. Generally, you're going to want to sell to your local area. And if you live in a small town and there's only one or two criminal attorneys, that might not be the best niche to get into. And every area is going to have specific niches. For example, we're not going to have snow removal leads in Arizona. So you're going to have to take a look at the overall size of your market in your specific area. Now, there's a few other things we need to consider before picking our niche. One of them is the season, because a lot of businesses are seasonal, and there's only a certain time of the year that they're going to be buying the leads. For example, if you're dealing with chimney sweepers or you're dealing with construction companies and you're somewhere, say, in the Northeast where the weather's going to fluctuate, you're going to have to keep this in mind. It's going to be very hard to sell chimney sweeping leads during the summer. It's going to be hard to sell construction leads during the winter when a lot of companies aren't getting the business. So you need to understand the seasons of the niche you're going after, and it's going to be different for every area and every business. You also want to take a look at the trend. And the best way to look at the trend is to look at search trends. If you go on Google and type in Google Trends and then put in the niche search terms, you can see whether or not this is a dying or a booming business. And you don't want to go after businesses that are dying. You want to always keep abreast of the businesses that are doing well in the economy. For example, in the last module I had talked briefly about the mortgage business. For a long time, especially in 2006, 2007, the mortgage business was a booming business. Interest rates were low and there was a lot of liquidity, and it was easy for mortgage companies to get loans closed. And so they had a lot of money and they were spending most of that money buying leads to build their business. However, today the mortgage industries are still hurting after the crisis, but another industry emerged, which is actually one of the businesses that I include in this course, is the foreclosure bailout business. Because after the mortgage companies went under and housing prices declined, foreclosure bailouts became a major business. And you want to stay aware of these trends and think businesses like construction companies. Construction companies, they've been hurting over the last few years because of the housing crisis, and so they're not going to have as much money to spend on leads. Meanwhile, especially in New York, in my area, a really booming business has been house lifting. Because of Hurricane Sandy about a year ago, all of the flooding that was as a result, a lot of homeowners in New York are spending a good amount of money to have their house raised to prevent problems in the future. And this is a booming business that not a lot of lead companies or marketers are catering to. And when you can get in on those booming trends, the businesses that have just started blossoming and have a good future for the next couple of years, that's where you're going to find the greatest return on your investment. We can also focus on businesses that don't normally buy leads, and there are pros and cons to doing this. For starters, there's cheaper lead costs. If you're going after businesses and customers that don't normally buy leads from companies, there are less companies advertising for that customer's attention, and so when you go out and do PPC or any sort of advertising, it's not going to cost as much money, because usually the only one you're competing with are the business owners themselves. And generally, business owners are terrible at doing advertising and marketing. It's much easier to stand out. Business owners usually focus on a few key benefits or features of their product, so it's very easy for us as marketers and as a lead company to come in and have a unique position in the marketplace to stand out and capture the majority of the leads. There's also more demand. With less advertising, there's fewer choices for the end of the consumer, at least in their mind, because there's fewer companies that they can see and that are at the top of their mind. The cons of selling to businesses that don't normally buy leads is it is a slightly harder sell. Companies like mortgage companies and attorneys and most financial companies are used to buying leads in bulk. They're used to buying live transfer leads. So they're just going to be concerned with the cost and the quality of the leads. The conversation is very different when you're trying to sell them. However, when you're selling a business that doesn't normally buy leads, like plumbers, you need to explain to them the value of the leads. Normally you have to explain to them how to handle the leads. So it's a slightly harder sell because they're not used to buying leads from a lead company. And of course, it's unproven. Anytime you're going after businesses that don't normally buy leads, there might be a reason for that. They just might not like to buy leads, or it just doesn't work for them, or they don't have a proven sales funnel, or perhaps they just rely on referrals and they don't like doing direct sales. So there is a slight risk when you're going after certain business types that don't normally buy leads, but I'm going to explain to you the best way to pick a business, even if they don't normally buy leads. So how do we find the businesses once we pick our niche? The best way is just to look on online directories like Yelp.com, Google Places, the Yellow Pages, local circulars. The best businesses to go after are the ones that are already advertising. If you see them advertising on local circulars or advertising on the Yellow Pages or yellowpages.com, they're obviously doing well, and they obviously are willing to spend money to grow their business. And 9 times out of 10, when they're doing their own advertising, it's not going to be working very well for them because they're not trained in marketing. So when you approach them with a performance-based plan where they get to pay only when customers are coming in the door, 9 times out of 10, a business that's already advertising in something like a local circular or the Yellow Pages will jump at the opportunity to work with a local lead company. And of course, looking on sites like Manta.com once you find businesses will help you get the direct contact information with the business. You want to try and get the direct emails, the direct phone numbers, anything you can to get in touch directly with the decision maker. Now, the sale to the local business is actually very easy because it's performance-based and they're only paying when new customers are coming in the door. What we really need to focus on is understanding the customer, understanding the consumer of the clients we're going to work with, because this is who we are going to be marketing to. The ads we write, the people that we really need to sell, are the customers of our clients. Now, the best way to get inside the mind of a customer is to stick to services that you use. You want to stick to consumers that you understand because you yourself are a consumer. If you regularly get your carpets cleaned, if you've been through a divorce attorneys are a great niche to go after. If you've worked with and been through 10 different landscapers to find the right one, you know the things that a consumer looks for when they're looking for a landscaper. So the best way to start is to stick to services that you use and know well. You want to understand the demographics of who's actually making the buying decision when it comes to hiring a local business. Who is the one that's actually going to make a buying decision to hire a carpet cleaner? When a family needs to clean the carpets, is it going to be the husband that's doing it? Is it the wife that's doing it? What is the average age? These are important metrics to have when you start advertising. And you want to narrow in on their hurts and their desires. You want to know what the hot buttons are that makes a consumer decide to do business with a company. What is it that in their mind is the most important factor between choosing one company or another? In some niches, price is the biggest hurdle. They want to go for the person that's the cheapest. Yet in other niches, price isn't a big problem. They want the best quality service. So it's important to know what your customer is looking for in a business. The best place to look for this to start off with are Yelp reviews. Go on your niche and find local businesses that offer services in this niche and read the reviews on Yelp, read the reviews on Google Places, because this will be just a raw look inside the mind of the consumer, whether it's their complaints, whether it's their praises. Write them down. Go through Yelp and write down all of the biggest complaints you see of businesses in this marketplace. Write down the biggest thing that they love and they praise and they talk about wanting. Just reading reviews will give you a massive, massive head start and massive insight into the mind of the customers in the niche you're going after. And you also want to try and look into forums, blogs, consumer sites for the same thing. Some niches you'll see a lot of forums. For example, when you're dealing with legal services or mortgage services, consumers usually want to educate themselves, so they'll go on forums, they'll go on blogs and consumer sites. Not so much in things like carpet cleaning and landscaping, but the bigger financial niches, the consumers want to be educated, and this is where they're going to go for their information. And the biggest thing you want to find are the questions that they're asking. What are the questions they ask in public and on forums? Because this will reveal to you the concerns of the consumer.